You have to, I mean, obviously the biggest part of linebacker, you have to play physical, and you have to get your mind right going into that game, the physical part of it, and he's been able to do that. And the other thing with him, he has to understand what everybody else is doing, because that's where his fit comes in. Whether we're blitzing, whether we're just chopping the front up, running some kind of stunt, and you know what, he's been really good all year long. I mean, on the 4th and 1 the other day, the key to that, what we called, was to get the ball knocked to him clean, and it did, and he scraped in the right place, and whacked it pretty good. So
you got, because you see guys like over the years from Sam Huck, Butkus. I mean, they all have a different mentality. Even in the safeties or anything else, who have pass responsibility, it's almost turn yourself loose. I mean,
yeah, and what he does, off the field. I mean, he may be one of the nicest kids I've ever met. And he's a kid I'd let marry my daughter. And there's not too many I've coached that I can say that about, but he's definitely one of them. And but when he gets on the field and puts that helmet on, I mean, he's an animal. And I love the way he's playing right now, and he's at a high level, and he's almost like a baseball player in a groove right now, seeing the ball, and he's seeing the defense, he's seeing the offense, he understands it, and it's showing every weekend. I mean, the kid's been the player of the week for us for 2 or 3 times, and what we take that off of is production points, and he's been the most productive guy on our defense, the whole season.
They get guys. A lot of people are throwing the ball, but obviously, they get guys open. Are they doing anything different, or how can you explain
what they do? They do such a great job, and I think where people underestimate Baylor is how they run the football. And so you have to load the box up. You get a lot of one-on-one matchups, and then you try to cheat guys in the box, and then you put guys in a run-pass conflict. Well, help us on the run game, but you got this guy you have to wall him, and well, then they get bad eyes and they run play action, and they'll get a safety to jump, and they get a guy behind. It happened to us the 2nd or 3rd play of the game a year ago, and it just. They're so balanced, and they do. I mean, if you shut down their passing game, they can beat you running the ball. If you shut down their run, obviously they can beat you throwing the ball. So it's a two-headed monster. I mean, pick your poison. What do you want to get beat up at doing? And and that's where our kids have to make sure. And I have to do a great job of mixing up the calls and that kind of thing. But I just hope we can compete and go out and play hard. I mean, they're a good football team, and the thing about our kids will be ready. I mean, they understand what happened a year ago. It was the most embarrassing football game I've ever been a part of.
I assume you mentioned 465 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns last year, do you?
Yeah, I didn't have to mention anything. I just came in and we started talking about what this year's team's about. Believe me, it's in their minds of what happened to us a year ago. And, it's in my mind as a coach. I mean, I came out after halftime and they had almost 600 or 700 yards and 50 points or whatever it was. We weren't in a good place. And so hopefully the kids will respond to it. And hopefully I can make some of the right calls and get our guys in their spots and make plays.
The one thing Keith had said last year, right after that game, was he knew the confidence was shot after that. And it's a long road back from there.
Yeah.
To fix certain things, the confidence is hard. How long of a road was that to where you are now, where it seems pretty good, where at least how you believe you're still?
Well, yeah, obviously it lingered the rest of the year for us. I mean, we never got back on track defensively after that game. And some of that was maybe young guys. Some of it was, maybe lost confidence a little bit. Some of it was due to injury. We started, I think that was the first game we started losing some guys. So, but I think that lingered on throughout the rest of the season. In the off season, I mean, we moved on and forgot about it. A whole new deal. So, but it doesn't matter what this final score ends up. I'm not worried about where we're at confidence-wise. I mean, we're a totally different football team right now.
There's a little symmetry, though, because before the Baylor game last year, you beat Oklahoma State and really held them defensively to numbers they hadn't had in years. And I think that there's at least an uptick now because of where you all have been situationally good. Getting off the field on 3rd down, especially Maryland, Texas Tech. Do you think that, or I guess why are these guys better to handle the up now than maybe they weren't last year?
I just think the maturity has a lot to do with it. I would think simple scheme lets them play faster, lets them play a little harder. They don't have to think as much. just think the overall mentality of our whole football team, and you know, Dana's done a great job with that, with offense, defense, special teams, and you know, I mean, our kids right now are confident about what they do and how they approach every day, and you know, as long as you have that, you're going to be okay.
What'd you see out of Dylan?